Okay, this is good for you, right?
Yeah, good. Very good.
I don't have to go, but I believe what that means. I believe it means that my nomination has been accepted.
Yes.
This puts to rest the speculation that we say the government has qualified. I have always been ready. But only thing this can disqualify me, that is when I'm not alive, when I'm bedridden, or when I'm not selected by the government. Basically, so work starts tomorrow. That will confirm that I am the official candidate of the National Democratic Party. So work starts tomorrow. That is, I don't know whether it is a coincidence, but if it's a coincidence, it is the best coincidence. I see here, Ibrahim Amani, 1996. We were there. Of course, today he is here. I'm happy that I'm excited. He's here. In 1996, we were there. We'll see the car, then a young man. We'll see a young boy. He was there. And today, he witnesses his nomination. Jennifer Mars was a small girl. She was there to witness my nomination in 1996. And today she is here. So was Billy, also a young girl. She is here. I'm overwhelmed by support of the government and you, the people of Gaza. Let us now work to liberate our country. Let us now unite. Let us forget our petty rivalries in the party. Let us all have and focus the agenda. Appeal for unity among the diaspora. People of diaspora, I ask that you should really forget whatever personal differences you may have. And in particular, New York chapter should be the leader, the role model in the United States. So it is New York that has to lead in the rest of the chapters in the United States. It must be a chapter that's united for it must be the chapter that leads in every state. So you know that there's a lot of domination down. We want to end this state. And we say this organization something. We are now shouldering the biggest border. Because this is the election. This year, this is the election. You will now shoulder the biggest responsibility. Make sure that the United Democratic Party prevails on the 4th of December. I want to thank you profusely, the diaspora chaplains, all the diaspora chaplains. I want to thank you profusely. I cannot mention individuals, but you all have done very well. Thank you very much. Maybe you can have
Number 7. Ako 6. Ako 6 na qualify.
Can we have silence, please?
We will now go into the question and answer session as we open up questions to be sent to the different social media platforms so that you will have access to them and be able to answer them. And one of the questions from Yankuba Jawate is that knowing that Gambians in the diaspora play a great role in the development of the Gambia in general and supporting families in particular, what are the strategies or what are strategies that you will put in place to avoid the deportation of Gambians in diaspora come the 5th of December when you are elected president of the Gambia?
That is a very tough question. But what I want to say, with everybody should accept, is that every country, every separate country has a representative of the family who stays in their country and who doesn't stay in their country. So the issue of deportation is one that no country can impose a condition on a host country that you cannot deport my citizens. I had indicated in one of my statements that I have concrete plans to stop at least currently the people who are on the deportation. I have some current concrete plans, which for good reason I do not want to disclose now. Because when I become president-elect, I will take it up with the relevant authority. And let me tell you that I have initiated, or not mentioned, with one of the representatives of the Gambia, and he feels that what I have stated is option, and that it feels that the UDP as a government will be willing to discuss these issues. We are not shying away from them. We will not shy away from them because we only want our citizens to be languages in jails, languages in camps, in detention camps. We propose some proposals to some countries abroad, including the United States.
What the noise?
Thank you very much for that answer. The second question is from Ahmad Udiba. And he said, what motivated you to publicly declare your assets even though election doesn't, it's not a necessity to do so?
I am quite aware that the Elections Act does not require me to present to the public my assets, the personal assets. But of course, under the Elections Act, those submissions are open to public scrutiny, so the public can have access to it. Whoever goes to the IEC can have access to my declarations of my assets. So those who are unable to do so, particularly those of you in the diaspora, you cannot go to the IEC and go to scrutinize my documents that I presented, including my asset declaration. So I give you opportunity to see what is contained in my declaration. So it is good practice, and I want to encourage everybody, and I have in fact asked President Barrow to do so. The reason why I've done it is that you in the diaspora can have information of what is contained in my asset declaration, because the IEC will not make it public. And you cannot go to the IEC to verify whether or not Mr. Dabo has made, or what declarations Mr. Dabo has made of his assets. And you now have the opportunity of knowing how many landed properties I have as at the date of my nomination. You also now have the opportunity of knowing what my bank balances are as at the date of my nomination. So if you elect me president, and then I make a declaration of assets, at the time I leave office, you'll be able to know whether I have used my office to enrich myself or not. So you will have that opportunity.
Another question we have from Musa Mani is diaspora voting part of your agenda as a president of the Ghana?
Diaspora voting has always been UDP's agenda. When Gabriel Roberts was chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission, UDP pushed for diaspora voting, because we know that there's a provision in the Elections Act that authorizes the Independent Electoral Commission to make regulations for the registration of voters in foreign lands. And we were pushing the IEC to do so. In fact, efforts had started to introduce diaspora voting then. But I guess the government then felt that with the diaspora voting, they are likely to be voted out of office. And then they came up with all sorts of excuses. How do you determine which country should be given the privilege? How do you determine the mode of conducting the elections? All sorts of arguments, and the cost element was also brought in. But my argument was that investing in democracy is really investing in the progress of the country. So you can invest as many millions as possible to ensure that the diaspora votes. Because in that way, you are investing in democracy. You are not only investing in democracy, but you are also giving people who contribute immensely to the economy of this country. You're giving them an opportunity to have a say in who should be the president of the country, in who should manage the funds that they are remitted to this country. And that has always been the position of the United Democratic Party, and will continue to be the position of the United Democratic Party when we win, because my organizing secretary doesn't want me to use the word if. When we win in December, you can be sure that this constitution that guarantees diaspora voting, UDP will bring it back to the National Assembly and will make sure that it passes all the thresholds, the constitutional threshold, so that the people in diaspora will have a right to vote.
So the next question from Modo Sisa was going to be relevant if it came an hour earlier. But now that we know that you are not going to be disqualified, I think we can just jump. Because he was asking if you were going to accept if you were not qualified to take part in the elections. I don't know if you want to answer that.
No. It's not relevant.
It's not relevant. So this one from EB Sanya says, how's your government going to invest in Jahali Pachar to see that every household can afford decent living?
I have stated it out in Nauseam that UDP government will try to abide by the Maputo Declaration, that is to say, by having 10% of its budget, national budget, dedicated to agriculture. And of course, in doing so, Jahal Pachar will be an area that the government will invest in. We want to not only increase rice production in the area, but we also want to make sure that the rice cultivating that area when harvested is processed so that you have a value added to it, and you can also by this also target every year that will produce such a quantity of tonnage of rice which will match a percentage of rice we import, so that we will be reducing our rice importation gradually. And we want to, by the end of the 5th year of our government, that this country does not import rice. Jahal Pachar and other areas in the CRR and also in the Nyam and also in LFR, the rice growing area, we make sure that rice is grown in those areas in abundance, so that the household people will have enough rice at their disposal to feed themselves.
The next one we have is not really a question, but it's asking if we at the UDP will call on all of the other parties and independent candidates that have been disqualified to join us and have a grand coalition. And it is from Mohammed Jan.
Mr. Jallo, it is in the thinking of the UDP to ask other parties, whether disqualified, independent candidates, those who have withdrawn, and parties that have not won nominations, and all others, we are going to ask them to join the United Democratic Party, to come and work with us. After all, we have a common agenda, and that common agenda is to put in place a government that is responsible, a government that will address the problems of the government people. I think we share the same values, same governance values, we share the same. So there should not be any problem of these parties really agreeing to work with us. And I am using this medium to appeal to all the disqualified candidates to come and work with the United Democratic Party. I want to say that I have started talking to some of the parties even before today, and we will continue those talks because we believe in unity lies our strength. And I don't know how true it is. This man who I understand is sitting on $207 million. I don't know how true it is. I understand that is what is in the National Declaration. I don't know whether it is true or not. But that is what I've been doing. I thought, are they saying 2,700,000 or what? Or 270,000? But they said 207 million. I cannot verify. But whatever amount of money is sitting on, it is necessary that we have a common and strong united front to really fight against these evil axis. We have to do so, and I'll continue to talk to people.
Thank you very much. Salvo Conte also asked questions about the diaspora franchise, but you have already answered that. We will go to the next to the next question from Lamin Jifan, which asks, what will a UDP government do in fighting against corruption?
I believe in our 5-point agenda, the introduction, we say we are going to embark on reforms, and that our government will fight corruption. We will not condone corruption in any form. And that the anti-corruption tribunal will start with competent people, men of integrity, and there will be no sacred cows. And indeed, the United Democratic Party finds corruption unacceptable. It can certainly be seen from the attitude or actions taken by the mayor of Canfield Municipality, because he is implementing and put in place the policies of the United Democratic Party, how we handle this situation. When it became clear that people in that institution were involved in corrupt practices, we took swift action, although his actions were in some way being blocked by those people who claim to be anti-corruption agents of this country. But they didn't show example by that. So you can see what has been done by KMC, that our government will be a government that will not tolerate corruption in this country. And because of our desire to fight against corruption, that is why I have also made public the assets I have as a debt, so that if you elect me, at the end of my tenure, you'll now again have an opportunity to scrutinize another declaration. And then, if the results of that scrutiny, if really it turns out that I have millions and millions, and properties all over, then you can only conclude that our promise to fight against corruption was not true. This is to create the benchmark, to set the example, the bar, that we will fight corruption, and this is to assure government people that we are going to fight corruption. That is why I have taken the extraordinary step of making my assets available to the entire public.
So we will go with our final two questions. The second to last one asks, what does the UDP government have for madrasas and Arabic students?
Thank you. Again, if you have chance to look at our 5-point agenda on the education sector, we have addressed the issue of madrasas. We do not believe that the attention being given to conventional schools, the Western schools, we do not believe that the attention being given to them is one that is so deserving as to exclude the madrasas. And we are not only including the madrasas, but we are also including the majlises, because they are also centers of learning. They are also, informal educational institutions. In fact, in the madrasas, sometimes, in fact not sometimes, always, fees are paid to those operating the madrasas. But the majlis, no fees are paid to them. I have confidence in Serin Ibrahim Amane. I take 2 of my kids to him. Please, he feeds them. When they are sick, he takes care of them. And in these days, nobody takes any of these kids to the farm to go and work on the farms. Nobody does that now. If that was done in the days that my father was going to the majlis, or my brother was going to the majlis, not now. So I believe that these people should also have some kind of subvention. In fact, through informal discussions with Mr. San, I think we are traveling from Karantaba and returning home, and we are discussing the general affair of the country. And one thing that came out of his mouth, but I think we should be thinking of social budget. Of course, they are the people of finance, they know what social budgeting are. And I don't think we are a want of men and women in the United Democratic Party who can really formulate good policies on social budgeting and really make it one that is beneficial to the country. So madrasas, they're really going to, is in the center of our policy, and just as the government gives subventions to non-government schools, we think we should be giving subventions to the madrasas. And this we are going to do. And also to assist all the majlis in this country, that we are going to do that. We will rather go to Parliament with an SAB to help those institutions than go to the Parliament with an SAB to really take care of travels, unauthorized travels that have taken place, and you want to cover up yourself. That will not be.
So the last question we have from John Mendy is, my question is, with the reoccurrence of military coups in West Africa, what will a UDP government do to stop military coups and also improve the service delivery of the military service?
Well, what we will do to stop military coups? Is it in Africa?
In West Africa.
Well, in West Africa, no. I certainly cannot say that we'll put measures in place that will prevent military coups in country X. But certainly, for the Gambia, we certainly can put measures in place. The causes of military coups is what we will avoid. I think that way there will be no military takeover. But what causes military coups? Tribalism, corruption, nepotism, arrogance, self-perpetuation in office. These are things that cause military coups. And we will not do that in this country. So you can, so that is one thing that Mr. Mendy, I can speak for us in the Gambia UDP government will ensure that nothing happens that will give the military any reason to think of a coup. Now, as far as the delivery service delivery?
Yes, of the military.
Yeah, but I do not know what you mean by service delivery, but really, we are very concerned about the welfare of the military. I find it heartbreaking. I find it really disheartening that a man can serve in the armed forces of the Gambia for 35 years. He quits the army. He does not have a home to live in. He cannot even afford rent. He ends up being a security guard. I find that very disheartening. So, also, and the same thing applies to the members of the government, in fact, the security in general. So, for us, the welfare of these service people, whether in the military, whether in the police, whether in the immigration, whether in the prisons, we have to take care of them so that in their old age, they will live a decent life. Some military officers cannot afford to pay school fees for their kids. I know that as a fact. Should that happen? And we want to make sure that the security service of this country are really given their due. They are treated well. And because we cannot really arm people with guns to be on sentry duties at strategic and sensitive position locations, and yet not take care of them. Because with their weapons, they can be threat to the nation. So we will look after the military, not only the military, but all the security outfits of this country, so that they'll be proud to say that I served in the Gambia Police Force, or I served in the Gambia Armed Forces. We want them to do so. We want that when they leave, they will live like any pensioner. So that's what we're going to do for them.
Yes, on that note, I'd like to thank everyone for the questions that they've sent in, and also the people that have been watching us on the Party Leaders official Facebook page, and also other mediums that are present here today. We will go on to the third phase of the program, which is the presentation that is supposed to be done by the different diaspora chapters and also individuals that are here to join us. On that note, I also...
Do you have any so that you can show? Because we don't want to push this around.
Yes.
Good evening once again. We like to thank you all for coming, and give special thanks to our various diaspora chapters who are present here with us today. this is the third phase of this interaction today with the party leader. Now, today is a very huge day for all of us, for the United Democratic Party, and for the Gambia at large. We've just received news that our party leader is duly nominated. His nomination is duly confirmed to be the candidate for the United Democratic Party for the upcoming December elections. So that is a great news. But we want to greet this news with a huge contribution from the diaspora. Today, we are going to have 7 chapters of the diaspora who are going to make a donation to the campaign for the 2021 elections. We in the diaspora have set a target, and we had a plan, and we've executed our plan. I think I have mentioned in one of my previous interviews that the United Democratic Party diaspora is going to contribute nothing less than $20 million in this campaign. And so far, we are on track. As I've said, today we are going to present nothing less than $7 million. But also, we've already contributed more than $5 million to date to this campaign. Now, this is possible through the visionary leadership of our party leader, Honorable Alaji Seno Numkuna Adabo. Leadership, I always tell people, is vision. When you have vision, it makes things more easier. The idea of UDP diaspora chapters, as he mentioned earlier, came up way back in 1997. And I think for some of the people then, if you tell anybody then that down the line, 25 years later, the UDP diaspora chapters will set up a record that cannot be compared to any, you will be surprised. But this is possible because of the trust and the confidence we had in our leadership. And I will have to confess here today, there is one particular chapter that I was not even aware of. Usually I will initiate, for example, there are Gambians in Qatar. I will tell somebody, our secretary, can you get to this guy, get a number and say, hey, can you guys establish chapters for us? But this is not the case this time around. And I think this is basically because Gambian people, majority of the Gambian people, I can say 75% of the Gambian people have come to believe and have trust in the leadership of Alaji Ousainou Darboe. And I believe that their problems can only be solved by the United Democratic Party. The Gambian diaspora believe in a leadership that is mature, that is honest, that is transparent, and that is unified. And that is what we have seen in Alaji Ousainou Darboe. Without taking much of your time, we will start our presentations. As I've mentioned, there is one particular chapter that I was not even aware of. Somebody just brought this to me and said, your folks in Qatar, you have a chapter in Qatar, and this is their contribution. And this is what has been happening all around. Right now, the UDP diaspora, I can proudly say that we have chapters all over the world. Every part of the world we have chapters. And thank you, Pausenu. This is possible because of your leadership. You have inspired us, you have motivated us, you have shown us that through honesty and transparency and commitment, anything is possible. we are on your footsteps, and this is a road that we are going to follow until that do us apart, as they say. As I said, without much further ado, I will call on our diaspora secretary, who is Mr. Tombon Sedi, to present $28,000 from our folks in Qatar. Dollars in our folks in Qatar. 28,000.
Thank you, party leader, and once again, congratulations for this nomination. The Qatar chapter is hereby donating $28,000. It's a new chapter, and there are only few of them. But I think it's a show of courage and how determined they are in giving their contribution towards this election.
Let him look at it first.
It's cool. It's
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sedi. Thank you, Kemo. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sedi. Now we call on to our chapter in the United, one of our chapters in the United States, that is Ohio, Michigan chapter, whose chairperson Ali Udabo is here. Also, we have Papa Sam. Now, I'll have to do this. Here is a gentleman. Can you stand up, please, Papa? You know, this is the guy who is behind voting UDP 2021. Since he joined the United Democratic Party, I cannot tell you how committed he is to the ideals of the United Democratic Party. We talk every day. Papa, I want to acknowledge you and I want to thank you so much. So you can come ahead and present your
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Inshallah, we'll be very brief. My name is Ali Udabo. Until a few months ago, I was resident in Detroit, Michigan. And Boji is very correct. Lavin Samata here, Papa Sam, commonly called, he basically is the brain behind our chapter. I used to be a kind of a floating UDP member in the States. Moji would call me, oh, we want this done, but I didn't belong to a chapter. And when the chapter was set up, they made me chair. Even though I have since returned home to work at the University of the Gambia, they decided I should remain as their chair. And this is our third trip here, our second trip. The first time we were here, as Moj earlier on alluded to, I am voting UDP 2021. We made a donation and we came here to His Excellency Hussein Udabo to give him that donation on behalf of him and some of our colleagues in Ohio and Michigan. And today again, just in a rush, a few weeks ago when he announced that he's coming home, we decided we'd put something together and bring it. And we were able to put a total of $50,000 together to donate to the UDP on behalf of our chapter. By the way, our chapter is not even a year old. It's a very young chapter. We're still mobilizing, but that's no reason to lag behind. We're trying to put a little bit together and share with the party so that the agenda can move. We UDP. Thank you.
So, in addition to the $50,000 that was contributed by the Ohio Michigan chapter, our folks from that chapter has already had a great present for the UDP TV and media that they are going to hand over to the party leader as well. Thank you, Professor. So we now have Mr. C.D. Dawo, who is a resident of Kansas in the United States, to make his presentation.
Assalamu alaikum. Mr. Party Leader, thank you very much, Your Excellency, and I congratulate you on your nomination. Thank you. Excuse me, I think among you all, I have been here since 31st of May, and I was opportune to join these people on their tour to the province. First and second day, I came back. The first day, I ate my half bread with butter and a cup of tea. I joined them all the way to Jurungu. I did not take any shower. I did not eat anything until 9 p.m. that very night. And I joined these ladies in this yellow van. Everybody sweating. They were shouting, clapping, laughing. I could not believe it. If you pay me $5,000 that day, a day, I would not go. I went to Jurungu. I did not eat anything since my half loaf of bread until 9 p.m. and I was sitting down. I saw these ladies cooking. And I was like, hey, if I don't tell myself, I don't report myself, I will not eat. Please give me something to eat. That was like 9 p.m. No shower. I went to bed. I could not sleep. My first night in that house, that bed. So I don't know how. I went to bed around 5 a.m. I could not sleep. In the morning, I got up to pray. I started, I said, Allahu Akbar, somebody knocked my door. We are leaving. I was like, let me go and pray home. You know? So no shower, nothing. So yes, nothing, absolutely. So after that, I realized that our effort is to complement the great effort on the ground. We are just complementing them. I could not have done it. And nobody would pay me. Nobody would pay me 10,000 a day to join that trip. If they are able to do that, I want all of you to know we are just complementing their effort. Beyond that also, what I wanted to say is we are not here on vacation. I think if we are here to work, let us not see it as vacation. Diaspora, let us come up with something. We have something I refer it to as a comparative advantage over NPP. They cannot have a diaspora this full of a room. They cannot. So we have that. Let us not count how many times I have been seen with Mr. Dabo, the party leader. Let us look outward, not inward. Let us sit down and see what we can do to help the party. I was thinking last night, and I wrote this in our diaspora forum. I called Boyd to tell him, how about we come together? We have the most votes in the Combos and KMC. We try to visit every major town one evening, every major town once a day. We engage the youth. We talk to them as to why they should not vote for NPP, but vote for UDP. We have a lot of influence. So that is the best tool we have in our toolbox. If we can come together as the diaspora, use Pamodu, Lamin Sanyang and others to advertise that we are going to Gunjur this coming Saturday. The diaspora is going. We all drive to Gunjur to meet the youth. We sit with them, engage them, let them know why they should not vote for NPP. But coming here 10 times, going home, that will not help. At this point in time, yes, consolidation is better, but we should expand. And how do we expand is for us to go out and engage the people. I am thinking that the very last week would be when we would all need to go back to our villages to mobilize people. But in this interim, these 3 weeks, let us use that to the fullest. Let's go to Birikama, let's go to Gunjur, let's go to Burfoot. The diaspora are sitting with the youth, telling them, educating them why they should not vote for Adam Barrow. This is my suggestion, and I think we will talk about it more. But for today, I'm here representing Kansas City. Kansas City is a city in 2 states, Kansas City, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri. And our effort to complement what is going on the ground is 128,750 to the party leader. So that is what I have to present. I will tell my people in Kansas, well done, job well done. Those who are coming should be prepared. They should tighten their belts that when they come, they have more work to do before December 4th. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sini, for that brilliant idea. I would like to use this occasion to call on all diaspora, those from the diaspora, to meet here tomorrow at 6 p.m. If you are from the diaspora and you are in the United States, please let us meet here tomorrow evening and discuss some of the issues pertaining to these upcoming elections and how we can help. Now, I would like to call our brothers from the Maryland area. We have Sidi Fofala, who is the deputy chairperson of that chapter, to bring in their presentations.
Mbañi sotti woon pare rek yàlla juy na leen jërëjëf Daba yàlla na nga yegg fi ñu jëm yàlla bu ko kenn yéen ñi liggéeyam na àdduna la liggéeyam yàlla na leen yàlla jooy na def leen
Like that. Hello. Hello. Congratulations to the party leader. On behalf of UDP Maryland chapter, for raising initiative to support the UDP upcoming campaign initiative, since we all know the future of the Gambia will be decided December 4, 2021. And we believe UDP is one of the most promising and political party delivering the wishes of the Gambian people. So due to the crucial expenditure and the financial needs with regards to the campaign activity and the election, the UDP Diaspora Committee thought it is wise to set an ambition, a goal, which each chapter should contribute $300,000 collectively to reduce the fund burdens of the UDP political campaign. And Maryland is a newly established chapter. Less than 2 years ago, we established this chapter with the leadership of Aisa Dawara as the chairperson of the chapter, and then I'm the deputy. So we have a 300,000 for 300 contribution for the campaign 2021 election. So here I go. He's not only my party leader, he's my in-law as well. I married his daughter. I remember one fine Thursday, I was invited. I received a call from him. He said, Mr. Fofana. I said, yes, sir. Thank you. He said, are you free on Saturday? I said, well, I work on Saturday, but I get up at 12. He said, you are invited with your friends for a party. I said, well, I said, okay, hold on a minute, I don't understand. He said, a party in my house. I said, I believe I should invite you for a party after you married your daughter. He said, no. So on Saturday we were there. He's got 3 rams and other food. So he's an excellent. Not only a party leader, but my in-law as well. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Now, I would like to call on our brothers from Sweden. Now, the Swedish chapter, I would like to say a little bit about the Swedish chapter, because not only because of their contribution to the party, but because of the contributions of one particular individual that happens to be Geneva Park. Now, probably most of you don't know Geneva Park. Geneva Park is one person who was behind and Alagi Seni Jami, who were behind the idea of UDP Sweden chapter. And since been very, very cooperative, very working tirelessly over the years to help the party in their activities. So, again, I want to thank you. And on behalf of the Swedish chapter, I have Geneva and Alexi to make their presentation.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Your Excellency, congratulations for your nomination. I would like to say, I think I was among the first people who always called him my president. That was many years ago. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, I seem to be working on that goal. But before saying anything, let me recite a surah here, which I think is very relevant. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك of Sabr, a surah of resilience, a surah of not losing hope. When it is dark and there is no sign of light in the tunnel, that you sit down and you say, Ya Allah, I surrender to you. I surrender myself to you. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel, and Allah will show you the way. You have had sabr. You've been an inspiration to me and many others because you've been resilient. You've been resilient. You've been patient. When it was very hard, when it was very trying. And today you even mentioned Fast Nyagachoy. On that stand-up, that was a defining moment in Gambian history. He said, Ibela Karala, Mbena Karala, Manta Hani Tepe. That was your exact words. Thank you very much. Today I feel honored, I feel humbled to be here. This is historic. To be part of this group of people who are here to share this beautiful joy with you. And inshallah, Mafo Alakoma, inshallah, this is the road until we take it to State House. One of the finest sons of Africa, called Amilcar Cabral, just Guinea-Bissau here. In his book, Unity and Struggle, when they were talking about the Portuguese struggle, the Guinea-Bissawian people's struggle in Guinea-Bissau against Portuguese imperialism, he was explaining, he said, no matter how hot the water from the well, it can never cook your rice. And he said, rice is never cooked from the outside of a pot. What does this mean? It means any struggle, it has to be within the country. But in our diaspora context, Amilcar Cabral said, despite all of that, you need firewood. You need the simply saboro for the pot to stand on. That is, you need outside help, outside solidarity, and that is where the diaspora comes in. Thank you. So once again, I thank everybody here. The efforts of the UDP Sweden has always been collective to inspire people to join the UDP. UDP Sweden started, then UDP Finland followed, Norway came, and just recently, very recently, UDP Denmark. And the task that we had, we were tasked by the UDP executive that every chapter should present $300,000. And we did the fundraising, all the clusters, excluding Denmark. And the first presentation we did was 300,000. There was a second presentation which was also 300,000. There was another presentation which was 100,000. And today, the last fundraising we did was in Sweden. But here we are presenting it in the collective spirit. That is Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Finland, all of these four. And the amount is $415,000. $415,000. This would bring the amount totally collected in the Nordic cluster to $1,115,000. We can say it's not much, but what is more important is not even a huge amount, but may Allah give it barakah, that it will go to give us victory. I cannot conclude without calling upon my chairman, because I told him I'm not going to speak. I should be in the background. You should speak for us, you are my leader. But he said, ladies first, just go. So, to all of you, Allah is saying that Sweden chapter, my chairman.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Follow the patili dala memwala sima ya bala manuja kenya memwala diaspora ka fonde ba fele be ali mara ala do to nyata UDP na ST4 ali mara ala do to nyata nyaji diaspora be hajima Anton lebih koma. Allah balo wala koy wala na kato ke jeni ka joko wal semben tuya na fere ni wala wani na katan ni wala ka joko finalist okino alhamdulillah rabbil alamin ka joko ko seliyata bi mu mege do wala ya mjama yamma na kata Christian wa mo le jero wona kontare no wala ade ko na adili dam ano minetta alhamdulillah rabbil alamin mo be jero wala adwa ko no mo namba dandana ko mi sita jeya mo jamina UDP sidan ko jata mo no man otumo bolde ko le ni ko wajibe ni ko mo jamaaje non bari kato ani wakilo wala fandi dina abe atele ni kando be mo atele no mun na ben ko man ka UDP chaptalo wolu ko le parti sibila atrabin 96 say you be UDP la 96 the UDP but benno amansiya mo dantande benno but biring anata aya bulo ka funa akata mo jama bata ya jibe binde ni UDP Sweden be ni kenola musigato le ben ton to le kelde be nakato kande but ni for resen mo kata ni sibit tambila aya to Sweden ande kana jande bari ayta janya wonya mam fen kala mata Koleato. Kadungalo le komundi ben ko mai ba kala anyama. Aduna ta ja alhamdulillah ya be ka anyama. Ko do ko seleata. Yeten du ba ke ni jay fo fe UDP Sweden UDP doli e be ben ko ni jay la barake dona. Na kiyama no ben no dik Grindal mak Sweden Finter den mak Finland Norway e fanantel do ni la effectif ko mo be ka je ka foy ko ni bara do ko seleata. Mbal lambal jay la ali bala bak
Yo, so the next chapter that I would like to call Spain is the Spanish chapter. Our brothers from Spain. Spain has always been the Spanish chapter has always been a strong support. And on behalf of the Spanish chapter, we have Ablaikani, who is my brother. And I have certificate here as well. UDP. And we have one of our city also here. Lamin Conte is also here. Bakari Koli Conte is also here. Who are both representing the Spanish chapter. Now, the Spanish chapter is not only going to contribute money to the United Democratic Party. They have some security and equipment that costs a lot of money that they are going to donate to the party as well. So, apply and your team, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much.